Hello and welcome to Le Mans. We're driving the Porsche 963 LMDH. I am fully upgraded. This is in the exclusive series. Always interesting when you can find an endless endurance race at Le Mans because usually they're profitable, and we'll get into whether this one is or not. Either way, it's an interesting farming option. Now, you do have to drive it pretty aggressively. So I was doing some slipstreaming, then getting a push, doing lots of slipstreaming at the beginning. You do have to do this, taking some off-track cuts. And I'm driving it pretty aggressive. It's surprising how aggressive you can drive this car. Although, if you have a really nice run here, you're going to run the trouble at that corner. Now, of course, that guy was in the perfectly wrong spot. So, let's get into the costs here. Purchase price, $2.65 million M. Then to fully upgrade this car, just shy of $2 million M, 1,275 gold. So you're going to want to wait for a sale before you fully upgrade it. You can drive this in so deep and blast through this. None of that was off track. Now, what series does this car appear in? Well, we've got three different series. So the first one is LMDH 2023 season. Then you've got the Battle for Le Mans, where it's one of the cars. And then, of course, the exclusive series. And I had the rewards for each of those series up there. So it's got two independent series, basically. And so you do get a decent amount back having this car. So that's not too bad. Now, we're going to do several things here, though. Getting to the perpetual point is tricky. I had to do some training. First, I had to train myself just figuring out how do you drive this car really optimally at this track. So there's that. You definitely have to drive very aggressively. But you've got to drive clean. You don't want to get damaged. And surprisingly enough, I was surprised how quickly these cars get top-notch. Now, if you're not familiar with endless endurance racing, once you reach what I call the perpetual point, the cars are faster than fully upgraded, but they don't corner as good as we do. Ooh, that's not good. Don't want to do that very much. Now I'm going to take a cut here as well. I don't do this in some cars. This one I'm going to... Ooh, I had to really get out of the gas there. You don't really want to do that. This is early, so I'm still going to close on him and overtake him. So perpetual point, if you're not familiar with it or if you need a refresher, that's what happens once you pass 42 cars. It is not a point on the track. It is not a certain distance. It does not happen at a certain lap count. So if you don't pass 42 cars before your timer runs out, you will not see the perpetual point. What's the perpetual point? It's the part where you can go perpetually. You'll see it. You'll definitely know it when you see it because suddenly there's a bunch of cars again. So, the race starts, there's a bunch of cars, and then that was close. Anyway, as you know, the further you get in an endurance race, the farther apart the bots get. Well, suddenly they get close together again. If you haven't seen this before, just stay tuned. This is tricky. You'll know. Oh, didn't want to go there. You'll notice me doing. Sometimes I'll lift off the throttle to recover from a skid, and that's very handy to know. So right here, that's about as good as you get, and get a nice little toe slingshot around this guy. Get a little bit of a push after that, and that's going to hit me. I might hit 372. Going down here before I get on the brakes. Let's see. Maybe not this time. Oh, 371. Almost hit the 2. So you can see it's possible unassisted. I had a tiny bit of a toe, but if I was getting a toe at the end of that, it would have been better. This next one, by the way, we will be getting into my braking points at a certain point here. The first few laps are tricky because you're adjusting to where the bots are and how they're driving. So that is a really bad place to encounter a bot. You'll notice I'm really pushing track limits. I want to stay on track as much as possible for earnings and for speed, but you have to know where you can drive. So for this corner, I know that I can go very far to the left and have it still be on track. So I'm going to do that to really widen out this corner. Get a little slingshot around this guy, or can I? No, and I'm not getting the side draft from him. Interesting. Look at that. See what I was saying? He's pulling away from me. I'm undamaged. That shouldn't be happening. Now, I don't mind. I don't mind getting a nice toe down here. That's definitely given me a nice speed boost. But now I've got to be careful in the braking zone. Over braking a little bit, but that's better than well, crashing or going off track there. Here I'm definitely going off track on purpose. That trajectory is going to help me to, well, trajectory a little bit. I didn't have to slow down as much, but also passing another bot. This is critical. I'm not going to see anyone else till the last chicane as far as overtaking them, I don't think. I don't think so. Coming out of, well, a couple of corners from here, sometimes you can get an overtake coming out of this corner. Cars brake here, which is so strange. So look at that. I shouldn't be gaining on him. But he was braking at the exit of that corner. Very bad. That's not how you drive. And then, of course, I catch a few at the chicane. Being very careful now. Watch ahead of you here. Watch ahead of me. Because very soon you're going to see that perpetual point. You'll know it when you see it. Because look, see, the cars are pretty far apart. See that? Pretty far apart. And you watch. You'll suddenly see a whole bunch there. Look at that. Can you see it? Now this is going to be tricky getting onto the back straight here. I'm very fast right now. I gave a little lift there. Do you notice that? Just because if I take that corner too fast, I can't turn. It's just not going to let me steer if you're really carrying a lot of speed. So I'm curious to see if I'm going to be getting 372 this time. Maybe not. Nope, 371 probably. Almost hit that too. Oh, I'm taking that fast. And look at that. There's clearly a shot at the perpetual point where there's just a bunch of cars. So I'm getting a very nice tow. See, they're faster than fully upgraded, but he was to the throttle quite a lot later than I was. So that's the advantage. Like I was saying, the bots corner horribly. The AI is very bad when it comes to cornering. And there, he gave me the race line. He gave me the lane because I was there. It's a nice programming that they have here. Coming to this corner, I'm not quite sure what's going to happen. I should be able to overtake him. I'd really like to be able to overtake him. A lot of it's on me on how well I take this. Come on, can I get you? Can I get you? Yeah, I was in the throttle earlier. You watch, this guy's going to just disappear on me. By the end of this back straight, well, it's not really a straight, but it's a long speed run. He's just going to pull away more and more and more. Now, as I round the next super sharp corner, like this is like a 90-degree corner coming up. If I've got like 45 seconds on my clock here, I don't really need to pass anybody. But I'm going to get a couple more here. One, maybe two. Yeah, that's nice. Really nothing to worry about now. The advantage of that is I could take it easy. Honestly, I could probably skip having to cut the last chicane at this point. Let's just see here. I was 50 seconds when I was taking the right-hand corner. Very light braking point here, as you might notice. And then a very light braking point here. Will I gain on this bot? That's a little heavier there, but still not too bad. If you take that exit too quick, too fast, you're going off track. I mean, 18 seconds left. I could brake and only pass one car here, but I'm going to keep this a little bit aggressive. Whoa, got to be careful. Okay, let's get into those braking points because we're nicely into the perpetual point here. If it's a really minor braking point, I probably won't do a freeze frame, but for some of the more important points, I will. Like coming up here, you can see just as soon as I put my brakes on, I'll put that freeze frame. I'm actually braking probably a car length back or two. The brake light's coming on is happening a little bit late. Here, oh, that was nice actually. Very nice, get a push. Ooh, I wonder what kind of speed I'm gonna hit. Am I gonna hit 372 this time? Could be interesting. Watch, there's distance markers, they're gonna appear on your left. I'm almost driving as deep as the MP4X. Very close, very close. Like, that's pretty much the MP4X. Now, you'll notice that I was at 364 on the freeze frame, but I was 370 before that. So you can see that the brakes have engaged before the brake lights are on. But still, that gives you a reference point. Definitely brake a little further back than I am. I would say 2 car lengths. This time, I'm braking a little bit before that third distance marker. Just a tiny bit. And then nicely through this. Oh, that's nice. They were nicely spaced out for me. Really having a nice time here. Like having my time in the 80s at this point. I don't need to pass anyone for the whole rest of this lap. But if you lay back and you drive slower, oh, by the way, pretty well the 4th distance counter here. Pretty close. 3.5, let's call that. If you just hold back you're going to run out of cars. They're going to get too far ahead of you. You need fast back-to-back lap times. So, at a certain point, I actually the cars can even get closer together if I'm running really fast, which can actually get you in trouble. I've had it in the McLaren MP4X where cars actually started to crash in front of me. Now, after the last, pretty well, yeah, not quite as deep as the MP4X there. I'm probably 3 car lengths back from the MP4X. But look at this. I mean, I've got 37 seconds, braking just after the wall. Now 65, nothing to worry about, which means I don't have to push it. I don't have to get crazy aggressive. So that's a good idea. Take it easy. Now, later on, we will get into the profitability. I'm going to skip ahead at the next... Ooh, I almost went off track there. I'm going to skip ahead at the start of the next lap and skip a few laps to when things do get a little more dicey for me. It took me a while to get here. First couple of times, I was just figuring out how do I drive this thing. Then I would see the perpetual point, but my timer was too low. So here I was really nicely into the perpetual point. Now let's warp ahead to what I'm going to call my ouch lap, where I do make a mistake, which does happen. And the question is, how damaging are those mistakes? Now, as soon as you get damaged, you're hurting profitability because you're losing speed. So my earnings per minute will go down. Now, this nice little slingshot there, and then getting onto the back straight, wasn't very good. I'm not getting a very nice toe, but it wasn't too easy to keep it pinned there. Still, we'll just see where this gets me. Sometimes it's dangerous if you're getting into traffic heading into these corners. See, I didn't quite reach the same speed. So here is where things get a little bit dicey. Delicate car. You hear that cracking? I didn't even hit him that hard. So I'm going to see how I can do here. By the way, the interior of this car is pretty awesome. I wish the steering wheel had a timer on it. I thought it did, but I can't see one. I don't think it does. I really like it when a steering wheel has a lap counter on it, lap time, because you don't know your lap times in endurance races unless you do this. You create a video and go back later. So it's kind of nice to have that. Oopsie. Huh. It didn't do me any extra damage. No big cracking sound. So I don't have maximum damage yet, but I've definitely got phase. Wow, nuts. And then the car handle's different, and the braking points are different, and everything's different. But still, I mean, 52 seconds on the clock. Okay, that's getting a little bit dicey. But I know they're still all up there. So it's still all possible. Like at this point, I really just need 2 cars. 2? Well, at least one. At least one car, and I can make it to the end of the lap. Okay. It's going to be very close. So this puts me in a danger zone as I'm hitting the chicane, but meaning I'm probably going to be down to like 5 seconds, I'm guessing. Still, look at the distance though. I mean, 90 clicks, that's not bad. Would have rather seen like 100, but oh well. It's a fun track. Le Mans is fun because you are full throttle so much. So I was expecting the earnings to be higher than they are. Ooh, that's a mistake, isn't it? Oh, that's another mistake. And I was saying probably 5 seconds before I encounter traffic. Well, we're going to freeze it right here. That's where I'm going to call the race because of what happens here. Boom, boom, that's a disaster. So I went back and ended the race at exactly that point. So 861 fame per minute, and my M dollars per minute is 7,808. Not the greatest, not the worst. Please like and subscribe. You can have some fun here if you want to. Thanks for joining me. Bye-bye now.